Military rifles and mine-resistant vehicles are being used in our community.
It's part of a federal military surplus program supplying local law enforcement agencies with items the armed forces no longer need. News 18's Holly Campbell investigates what items are in Tippecanoe County and the criticism law enforcement agencies are facing. Holly.
Jeff, Gina, it's a program that has been used since 1990. Equipment designed for war is handed down to local law enforcement agencies to be used in our neighborhoods. Nearly 25 years ago, Congress opened the door for surplus Department of Defense property to be handed down to local law enforcement agencies. Special emphasis was given to counter drug and terrorism initiatives. Fast forward to 2014.
Currently, we have rifles and a Humvee in our inventory. We have 69 M16 rifles, 15 M14 rifles, and one Humvee.
We acquired 25 M16s from the 1033 program.
It is a Vietnam-era M16, and again, something that the military doesn't necessarily carry now, but they had all of these on hand. They started handing those out to local law enforcement agencies.
10 handguns and less than 10 rifles.
In Tippecanoe County, law enforcement officers have everything from weapons, vehicles, boats, and even desks from the program. The West Lafayette Police Department even has a mine-resistant vehicle.
We do have an armored vehicle from the military as well. We put in for that piece of equipment, or the need for that piece of equipment, probably about 3 or maybe 4 years ago.
Law enforcement agencies apply for certain types of equipment and have to follow strict guidelines of how it can be used. The most popular item is the M16 rifle.
If you want to tell me that my police officers don't need patrol rifles, we're going to have a long discussion about why we do need patrol rifles.
Lafayette Police Chief Patrick Flannelly says this program isn't just providing extra inventory for the department.
This is equipment that we need, and I don't know if that's more a reflection on police culture or if that's a reflection on society and American culture and some of the things that law enforcement is being asked to face.
Tippecanoe County Sheriff Tracy Brown says when he became an officer in the mid-'80s, he had a revolver.
If we were still using what we were using in 1984 today, we would be seriously outgunned.
Criminals police face today have access to high-powered weapons. Brown says this program is helping to give police the appropriate equipment to handle those situations.
I appreciate the program because it has put equipment in the hands, necessary equipment in the hands of law enforcement that they would not otherwise be able to acquire.
Brown says it's equipment like the M16s.
We were finding that the people who would do us and our citizens harm were armed with similar weapons.
Purdue Police Captain Eric Chin says as threats change in our community, police have to adapt.
We're changing our toolbox. We're changing the tools available for law enforcement to combat that threat.
Why would we want to send our police officers to solve a problem with improper equipment? And something because we're no good to anybody if we can't protect ourselves.
It may be a useful program, but it's not without its critics.
We want to challenge government to think about what message are they sending to their citizens? Are they conveying a message that they can be trusted?
In June, the American Civil Liberties Union released a nationwide report called War Comes Home, pointing out the excessive militarization of police. ACLU of Indiana Executive Director Jane Henniger says she believes local law enforcement agencies have the best interest of the public in mind when they get items from the military. In August, images of police in Ferguson, Missouri showed officers carrying rifles, driving large vehicles, and dressed in what looked like military fatigues. It's a look that blurred the lines between police officers and soldiers. Henniger says what may be right for war is not always useful in our neighborhoods.
What can we safely get for free and adapt in a way that is appropriate? That's certainly a judgment call.
And it's a call Brown says falls on him and other law enforcement leaders in our community.
There is not a decision when it comes to the acquisition of equipment that is taken lightly by this agency.
But Flannelly says it's a decision that has to be made because, after all, it's 2014.
Sure, we're not Andy Griffith anymore. We don't live in Mayberry, and the circumstances that we face every day are different.
Criminals are evolving, and Flannelly says the police have to change too.
Policing has evolved a lot in the last 200 years in America. And for the most part, most of those changes and that evolution has been a good thing. But at the root of that, we are the defenders of liberty, and we are here for our community. But it's not always a simple or easy task to do the things that we have to do.
You can head to our website at WLFI.com for a list of items in Tippecanoe County. Tomorrow, in part 2 of Military Grade Police, we take a look at how this equipment makes the transition from the battlefield to our neighborhood's streets and how this equipment is helping save the public thousands of dollars. Reporting live in West Lafayette, Holly Campbell, News 18.